What the? This ain't no TWIM. What's up, everybody? You are right. This is not an episode of This Week in Madden, but I do have some pretty cool in-game stuff going on that I want to talk about. The reason there was no TWIM tonight is LT was crowned the Chiefs Club Series champion, so live from Arrowhead Stadium. If you missed it on Twitch, he just took down the finals. He's the final spot. On April 15th, he heads to LA against the other 8 Club Series champions. Started in Minnesota, ended in Kansas City, stopped in San Francisco, stopped in Buffalo, stopped in New England, stopped in Jacksonville with True Boy, stopped in Pittsburgh. So some really good action in the Club Series. But I do want to fill you in with a new video tonight on a couple items that went live. So first up, the competitors program is live. And now this is actually a good new program, it looks like. EA Sports listened to a lot of feedback last week on Twitter, and one of the most common complaints from the community was that they needed more ways to redeem competitive badges. In response, EA released the new competitors program today. It comes with the competitor set that requires 200 competitive badges and rewards you with one of the following player items. So let's talk about these items and what they do. Because remember, motivators, they're a little bit similar, but not the same as motivators. So let's explore them and see who gives you the most value. All right, first up is Earl Thomas. We'll scroll up here so you can see all the action. Earl Thomas brings you 92 speed with 95 acceleration. That is fast at the free safety position, but he's a little bit shorter than a traditional option. 94 zone coverage, only 82 man, and 79 hit power. Now, what does Earl Thomas do that makes him special? Well, he gives +1 play recognition, +1 man, and +1 zone to your whole secondary. So while this Earl Thomas doesn't have the hit power, he gives your corners +1 play rec, man, and zone. And I find that to be incredible. And then you boost him up with Seattle. So, you know, they couldn't put this on Brian Dawkins because he would already be in every lineup, and that could potentially, like, I think, throw away the game balance. Not throw it away, but like throw it out of whack. So currently these players all have salaries of $9.99. I'm sure it's until they can get a competitive meeting and look at the salaries and everything. That would be my guess as to why they are this much. But 95 play rec is outstanding for Earl. And if you start him at free safety, you're not going to get the hit power, but you could then sub him out and then utilize that to get positive man and zone. I mean, this Earl with his zone and play rec and speed is darn near out of control as a coverage guy. Obviously, you're not going to get those fumbles, but he's got decent block shed and okay hit power. So, I mean, you could play him at corner if you really wanted to, and he should hold up. So I find this one very valuable. Now, for 900K, I don't think you can go there because I don't think he's an every down player. I think if he drops down and you do it to get to the next level of your secondary with their man coverage, now combined with Tamba Hali, any player in the secondary that's 87, you could get to 90 play rec, which I find to be the important mark. So you now have another way to add play rec to some defenders with these competitors mixed with motivators. Tyrone Smith gets one. He's only got 90 strength, so that's a bit low at the left tackle position at this part of the year, but he does have good athleticism, and then, of course, super balanced run block and pass block. But he gives you +1 and +1. So the problem is you can't start him and Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas is a left tackle. Strief was the right tackle, was run block. Joe Thomas was the motivator left tackle. That was pass block. You can't start them both. So this would make your team more balanced. I might stick with the Thomas because I play the Strief motivator. Darby, a monster. Everybody's looking for this item. He's only 5'11", but I think at 95 speed, he's pretty much one of the fastest in the game to go with that excel. And then the agility, good for his man coverage, which is 95. This is a man cover defender up there with the Chris Harris, but more athletic, and 90 play rec. Plus, he gives your secondary 1 man coverage and 1 play rec. So another way, you got now, he's only going for 628. Look, he's not the physical style, but he is one of those speedsters, if you don't have the Dion, that can play great for your team. Plus, he's got lockdown. He's up to 98 man coverage. Plus, he's going to boost himself, as you see here, with the lockdown. 94 zone. If you play the Butler, you got him at 96 zone. This is one of the best all-around players for coverage in the game. I say coverage funny because, you know, he doesn't have the block shed or the hit power like a Mel Blount. So there's still those type of players like a Ramsey, like a Blount, like a Night Train that do those specific cover 2 roles well. And then you have the Darby if you want to indeed play man coverage. Love this item. Love what he boosts. And, you know, I still play the Amerson to get the +2 man, but now, you know, if you were to play him with the Amerson, you're talking serious man coverage across the board. Lamar Miller, I consider as kind of like a LaShawn McCoy type back because of that agility to go along with speed and elusiveness. Now, he's at 93. What he gives you is +1 carry and +1 throw accuracy mid to the backfield. That doesn't seem to make sense. Obviously, a quarterback is technically in the backfield, so that will work, and that could be a way to get any quarterback with 89 deep or 89 mid up to that that level. I like him. I like the McCoy, a back with good agility, but there's been a couple of good ones to come out. Reggie Bush, and there was one other one that came out after the McCoy that I pointed to in a previous review. So I won't go all in on the Miller. I think his price will be one of the lower ones, but if you happen to pull him out, it's not the worst thing that could happen. Willie Snead, I like and I don't like. So here's what I like about the Willie Snead. +1 catch, +1 route running. +1 route running is huge. That is huge because there's no motivator that gives you route running. So if you were to start Willie Snead and you had a player who didn't have proper chemistry like SE or route running, or had SE and route running, but got to 95. You know I want my guys at 96 route running. That's what I believe in. The problem with the Snead is he has deep threat, which does not give him the ability to boost his own route running. And with tier 1 of this, he's only going to get to 95 himself. So now one of those slots, you can't have 95 route running. Or you won't have a guy with 96 route running, which I like. But where I think this guy comes in handy is you go back now in the game, and any receiver before you could only get to 95, you can now get to 96 by starting Snead. So that opens up, to me, instead of looking forward, where players are now starting to come out and they're over 96 on their own. Larry Fitz starts at it. You know, you get guys up to 97, 98 route running now, which I think is overkill. So now instead it opens up a bunch of players earlier who you could boost already with SC and route running that were down at like 91, 92, that could only get to 95. Now they get to 96. The problem is he takes up a lineup slot when he does that, and then DeAndre Hopkins takes up a lineup slot too. Now Snead is still very good on his own with solid speed, good catching traffic. You could get him to 95 if you had the Hopkins, but overall he's only 5'11", can't really spec. So you're going to have Moss in one of the spots to start. So that is the trouble. Like, if you have Hopkins or Snead, who are both pretty expensive, you're going to have to kind of pick one. Or do you go get Benjamin, who gives you +2 spec, the motivator? You know, this is the only way to get +1 route running. So what values can you find that you can now boost? That's a question to explore upcoming. So those are his thoughts on the Snead. Can't clog up 2 lineup spots or your coins for most people with Hopkins and Snead, unless you have a guy with 96 like a Fitz, like a Nelson, who you can sit on the bench, and that's assuming that you run routes that use route running, ins, outs, corners, stuff like that. So I'm mixed on the Snead, but I like it. And then Clay Matthews finally picks one up. This is a left outside linebacker, Clay Matthews. So let's go in and see. He's got 87 speed, which at this point in the year is not super fast when everyone's using Khalil Mack. He's 400K, but what he does boost up is block shed and hit power and pursuit, and he does it to linebacker. Or excuse me, he does play rec finesse move on his linebacker. His big hitter is what gives him that. So play rec and finesse move. So that's a good way, if you have finesse move pass rushers, to get them a little bit more of a bonus. I wonder if they have to start in the linebacker group, or if it is any player that's technically a linebacker, even if he's dropped down to DN. That's a question we'll have to gonna look at when we set up our lineup, or if somebody in the comments knows. Now he's a power move rusher, which doesn't seem to match up with the finesse move because you don't want him pulling off those. 87 speed, 89 strength, 87 block shed. That's all middle tier. I think you could do better. I love that he has the hit power in the pursuit. I think he would also have the big hitter trait if we were to dig into traits, because this guy to me always makes computer hit sticks for some reason. Across the years of Madden, Troy Polamalu, Clay Matthews, some ratings combo, always big hits. And you can get him at 99 if you were to have the Harrison Smith. So I would have to try this guy out. Clay Matthews just played pretty well to me, and I bet this one will too. But I think he's a second tier guy to me because of his speed. I'd rather have the Mack or the Miller or the new Strahan if you're going to pay that much, because he's going to be value because he does give play rec and finesse move. But then you still have the Tamba Hali, who should be fairly cheap if you truly want 2 play rec to get to 90, or if you could go get the Vic Beasley motivator if you wanted +2 finesse move. But then you have to build a team of all finesse move guys, which I don't mind because there's some really good cheap finesse move guys. The Robeson, who comes out with like 94, Kem to 96, that would get him to 98 for a 10K item. That's where Clay could come in big, but I get it. If you're trying to go budget, you're not going to have 420K for Clay. So these are the discussions that we're having here as a replacement on This Week in Madden. As we were watching the Chiefs Club series, we are going to record a special episode of This Week in Madden for you guys for next week when we're out at the Madden Challenge. If you guys have specific questions you want to hear us talk about, make sure to hit us up and leave them in the comments or leave them in the mailbag. Sheldon Richardson is the last item I want to talk about before we get to quick look at the campus heroes. I love this option. +1 power move, +1 block shed, +1 play rec to your D-line. Now, D-line play rec, I'm not huge on it. Obviously, it can help stop screen passes, or if you were to drop a guy into a flat, it could matter. But overall, not a spot I'm dying to get play rec. I am dying to get power move and block shed. Before, you needed +2 power move from Aaron Donald, the D-tackle, whose cards are getting a little bit dated. And then +2 block shed from Olivier Vernon, who's same thing. His card's getting a little bit dated. His motivators came out. They were 92s, 93s. They were very good. But the game's progressed, and now the motivators, they're slightly lower. I still love getting their boosts, but you got to sub them out basically like an Emerson if you're trying to build, the ultimate team. So this is a good way to get it because he's got 93 strength, 95 power move stock, which is really, really good. 89 block shed, a little bit low, but let's see what we can get it up to. And then if you were to still start, could you start the Vernon to get even more block shed, or is he also a right end, and that would prevent you from doing it? As we look at Vernon is a right end, so you could not start both of them. So his one rating that's low, block shed, you can't necessarily start him to get the boost from Vernon to get the block shed, if that makes sense. This is a very chemistry-heavy episode, so apologies for going Walter White. 98 power move, 91 block shed, 93 strength. This is good. A little bit slow for crossman and that type of thing, but you could slide him inside. He should hold up in pass rushing situations. That's expensive, though. I think you're better off going cheaper with the Vernon, subbing guys in and out and looking to find some either cheap speed or getting a Robeson who still has, you can get to that finesse move for 10K. And so while I like this Richardson, I think there's better ways to get that value on the D-line. So overall, motivators, going back, I would potentially play Earl because I like the boost that he gives you to the whole secondary, not just a safety position. Darby I like, and Snead, I think there's going to be a couple use cases where you guys find some good stuff. Clay, jury's out, and Sheldon, jury's out. But let me know your guys' thoughts on these competitors in the comments. Okay, and then lastly here, Campus Heroes dropped today, and actually a guy I really like. One of them is Jimmy Ward. So look at Jimmy Ward, man. This guy, man coverage. He's a strong safety, but he's always had really strong man coverage. 89's good, maybe a baby Kraus. Now he's expensive, but he should drop in price. 93 speed, play recs at 89, but you could get him to 90 if you did a couple moves. I would recommend doing that. 88 hit power is solid, not going to force too many fumbles, but this is kind of a mid-tier guy. I bet his price ends up 50K when it's all said and done. Man, if you needed him to kind of work in that role, like a Ron Parker, potentially, could be a good value for your defense. 95 zone's really good if you can get him to 90, plus with the speed and athleticism. 5'11", see if he holds up. But I like him coming down and being a budget guy. Shane Ray, I went in. Obviously, you can't see the pass rush moves on the front, so I went in earlier and I was looking. He's got 94 finesse move. Juice him up a little bit. 97 finesse move on Shane Ray. Still thinking the Robison's better, but at 88 speed, you could drop him off the line of scrimmage. Good block shed. You know, strength's really his only weakness, and that's another guy who's gonna, I think, come down in price a fair amount, and you should be able to get in your lineup for cheap pass rush. But obviously, that Robison's super sleepy. And then Paxton Lynch is the last guy I wanted to talk about. I think this could be one of the better guys in the game. Now, without the boost, he's got 88 deep throw, and I was nervous, but you get him to 90 if you chem him up. He's 115K. Obviously, the Stafford's better, but good speed, 83. Good throw power, 96, 6'7". Gives route running SE to other players. Dude, this guy, he's a really good quarterback, I think. I want to see him come down a little bit, because right now there's just no beating Matt Stafford. But for whatever reason you don't like Matt Stafford, you go to this guy, you pick him up, big arm, decent speed, tall, almost 90s across the board, 89 mid, but then, I don't know, maybe you start Lamar Miller, you get him to 90, and see if he can make some throws for you. Those are just some options that you have here in Ultimate Team as you build your lineup and start to mix things up. Let me just show you that Robison one more time in case you're not hip and haven't watched every single review, because I know there is quite a lot of them. Brian Robison, season star, 91 overall, 11,000 coins. Go down. Comes in at 94 finesse move. Get him instantly to 96 before any motivation or competitors would add to him. So 96 finesse move on a guy with 90 excel. Yeah, speed's a little bit down, but we're looking for him to do one thing, and we're looking for him to do it at a great price. So those are some options. Hopefully this video review helped you out, guys. Sorry on TWIM, but I hope you enjoyed the Chiefs Club Series if you checked it out. And remember, Madden Challenge next week. Madden Challenge next week. So we're going to record a special episode and get it out to you. Because, you know, the 2,000 people that watch these videos, this is for you. I know TWIM brings in the bigger crew, but, you know, you guys have been here grinding with me all year. Teams are coming together. Tournaments are finishing up. Players out there looking tough. And so appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everything. That's all I got for you guys. So no TWIM, but until next time, don't forget, sometimes Madden's easy. Sometimes Madden's hard. Peach pear, soda review, soda water, 4 out of 10. Until next time, lock up.